Well, thank you very much for inviting me, and it's really an honour to come back to the school after 20 years. It was 1995 when I was here last in this room, going through exactly the same ceremony. So I'd like to just take a few minutes to share my story to help give you some of my perspectives that helped me be successful in what I did. A bit of background, I was born in a town called Kojonup, about 250 k's south of here. I went to year 10 in a local district high school with a class of 30 kids, and I wasn't a brilliant academic student. I was just a good solid student, but I was the eldest son of a second generation farmer, and I was going to be a farmer. And so I finished year 10 and I went to Narrogin Ag College for 2 years, and I learned how to weld, I learned how to shear a sheep, I learned how to put a crop in, and I did well there. That was really good, and I came back onto the farm for 9 years. But it was never really my passion, okay? And the defining moment that made me do something about that was when I got married. And the only time you ever think about the rest of your life is when you get married. You get some perspective. And I thought, oh, I'm not sure I can do this for another 30 or 40 years. And then I couldn't afford to buy the farm off my parents, and we couldn't afford to let them retire. And I thought, this isn't going to work. And I went, well, what am I going to do? But I had a couple of friends who decided they were going to go to university. Right? I had two guys I played footy with, because I played footy. If you're in Kojonup, you play cricket, you play footy. All right, so we played AFL, and both of those guys had gone to Canning College, and both of them had got the scores they needed to get into the uni course that they wanted. Interestingly, neither of them went to university, but they did the course, and I thought, if they can do it, then so can I. And I think that's probably the biggest message I want to share with you about my story, is if I can do it, then you guys can really do it. So I was still working on the farm, and we sold the farm, and I stayed till the end of the year because my wife was a teacher there. I married a school teacher because that's nice and original if you're a farmer from Kojonup. And so I thought, well, okay, I was shearing at that stage, and I could shear 150 sheep a day, which was pretty good money at that time. And so I thought, well, I better prepare myself. I'm going to go over and do engineering. Well, I better start learning how to do some mathematics, because I haven't done any since year 10. So I rang up distance education. I spoke to this lovely man and said, look, I was 27, I want to go back to school, I want to go to Canning College, and I want to do an engineering degree, and so I'd like you to give me a bridging course in maths so I can start getting a head start on this. And he told me, leave it to the smart kids. You're probably better off going to TAFE. Do something you can be successful in. That's not going to work for you. I did the course anyway. And it gave me that little bit of grit to go, if my mates can do it, I can do it. And I don't need this guy telling me I can't do it. So I enrolled in the course, and I'd work hard all day, and then I'd go back in my room and I'd spend a couple of hours every night trying to work, and it really hurt me, like rearranging an equation. It really hurt me. But I was dedicated, okay, and I was stubborn, and I sat at it, and where I couldn't pick something up, I talked to somebody who I could, well, there was an engineer down the road, a retired engineer, who really helped me a lot and got me interested in the engineering, and so I ended up doing pretty well at that course, and then had a bit of confidence. So when I came into Canning College, then I really, I really believed in myself. I knew I could do it. So I did chemistry, physics, both the specialist maths, chemistry, and then English Lit, because I wanted to go to UWA, and you had to have at least one subject. I don't know what the situation is now. So that was a really challenging year. But here's some of the dot points or the takeaways of what I did to make it successful for me anyway. So I treated it like a full-time job. I was here at 8 o'clock every morning. I didn't leave here till 5 o'clock. I studied 2 hours every night, except for Friday night. Had a glass of wine every night, because balance is important, okay? And I had to treat it like a full-time job, because I burnt my bridges. We'd sold the farm, Mum and Dad had retired, that was really great, but I actually needed to do something for me, and it was the rest of my life. So, treat it like a full-time job. The other thing I did, you get some great advice. I mean, onboarding 20 years ago was fantastic in this place, and they gave me some great advice some of the best of it was find some like-minded students and set up a study group and feed off each other and work together. And I did that. I picked two, probably in hindsight, the two strongest students in the school. I didn't realise that at the time. And we were inseparable. We studied together. We weren't all doing the same subjects, but the subjects we were doing, we shared, we studied together, we helped each other. That was probably the single biggest effect I had on me in terms of being successful in this college. The encouragement you get through working with a team like that and the camaraderie you build up is irreplaceable. The other thing I learned is you help yourself when you help another person. So I did any chance I could, I would teach somebody else something else. And I still do it now. So I still mentor young engineers and I still help people who are having trouble with their careers because I always gain something out of it, and the reward from helping somebody else and seeing the benefit that means is irreplaceable. It really is very valuable. So I was amazed when I got to UWA and started studying engineering and found that the law students occasionally, some of the good law students would rip the page out of the book of the assignments, and there was some stuff, and I could never understand that because my whole idea was there's an abundance of good jobs and there's an abundance of an opportunity to be a good student, and the more you can share that, the better off and the more successful you're going to be in life. I loved to learn. I had a passion for what I was doing and I had a clear goal, and I loved physics, and I was like, oh, I understand this and this makes sense, and there's something about that that genuine passion for learning that makes it exciting and that makes you successful. I'll talk about passion in the closing thing, but you have to have some passion in what you're doing. And it's really good. I was listening to the students talking to Alan and Dice about what they were going to do and what university they were going to study, and you can tell, the whole goal setting and the passion of this is what I'm doing and this is the pathway and this is where I'm going to get to is really fantastic, and I think that's really valuable. I made sure I had balance. So not only did I have my study team, but I had my sporting team. We used to play squash over at Curtin and go to the tavern afterwards, which was always good. And we'd go for a hit of golf every weekend. And so we studied hard, but you actually have to exercise, all right? And I've done a lot of work in the leadership sphere, and I've heard a lot of research about the effects of how successful you can be. It's not just all about study, and it's not just all about hard work. You have to exercise your body as well, and I think that balance is really, really important. I had fantastic support from my wife, my partner, my family were fantastic. And all of the support people in here, you don't realise how big an effect you can have on the success of your students, however they are. That's a really important thing. I was at a Institute of Management course yesterday, and Professor Barry Posner, who's a Harvard University professor, spoke about your ability to handle adversity, and the single biggest factor of your ability to handle adversity is your support. Mentors, coaches, partners, it's really important. So I didn't get the 99.8% TER like I'm hearing. I was pretty proud of 97.5, so that was really good. Unfortunately, everyone said this is going to be the hardest year of your life, and they lied. They lied if you're doing engineering at UWA anyway. It was hard, all right, but I applied those same principles, and it was actually pretty tough. And you had this lack of self-awareness. So at Canning College, there was all sorts of people, middle-aged people, even in their 60s studying, and so I was like, this is completely normal and fit right in. I got to UWA, the single only person who wasn't 17, and I was 28. But it didn't take long for me to apply exactly the same principles that made me successful at Canning College to what I did at university. I've got some like-minded guys, and we're still really good friends today. In fact, we went out last week, caught up for a meal in the city, and we've all got successful careers. We all got first-class honours. We're all very successful students and successful in our careers. But we stayed together, and there's a camaraderie, and that's quite an achievement when I was 11 years older than all of them. But everything else we had was common: work ethic and a passion for what we were doing, and that made us successful. It was a really fun time, but it was very challenging. another point I want to leave with you, apart from the passion, is you have to remain flexible. When I was at Canning College, I was going to be a civil engineer. Right up until the time I just about finished the first semester, which was common, thank goodness, and I went, I don't like civil engineering, this isn't for me. What have I done? But I liked mechanical engineering, and luckily that worked out. So I went and saw the dean, and for any of you who get to university and need to see the dean after first semester, I was in this line of about 50 students, and me and one of my mates, and I had another mate who'd also done civil engineering now, we got to meet a lovely lady called Pam Stubbs, who was looking after the uni at that point, and me and my mate walked in, and she goes, right, and the body language was all wrong. She folded her arms and, right, what do you two want? And we were like, well, we're not sure that civil engineering is for us, and I know, we're just really hoping that without too much trouble we can change to mechanical. And she goes, well, what are your grades like? I mean, distinctions, high distinctions, we work hard. Oh, she said, I've just had 50 students who've been averaging 25, all wanting to work out how they could stay in the course. And then I went, oh, that's the reason why the body language wasn't so good. But being flexible and then finding a passion. Now, I really liked mechanical engineering. It was certainly the right move for me. You have to still listen to your heart and stay with a passion. And just because you've set a goal doesn't mean you always have to stay with that goal, because you might need to flex through circumstance or a change in focus, and you'll still be very successful. I worked my butt off, okay? So there are students who are just naturally brilliant and academically fantastic, and there are people who aren't blessed with as much brains, but they work really hard, and that was me. So I worked really hard. University was a hard slog for me, but I got great marks, and I was really lucky because I had the maturity and good people skills, and I got on with people, and so I managed to get onto a program called SEED, which is Career Enterprise Education Development, and I did my honours project for BP Refinery, so it was just a fantastic opportunity. I went down to BP and I did I solved an acoustic fatigue problem. If you ever do an honours project or a PhD, it's always the lamest sounding project you're ever going to hear. They're always really torturous. So I did acoustic fatigue of high temperature refractory line piping systems, which is just not very sexy to anyone. However, I did a really good job of it, okay, and so I got offered to do a PhD. I got first class honours. I got the highest mark that my professor had ever given to a student, which was really, really special for me. But academia wasn't my passion, all right? It wasn't what made me tick, and so I bypassed that opportunity and took a job with Alcoa to work at the alumina refineries, which was the best decision that I ever made. So you have to listen to your heart, and I knew in my heart, even though I had the marks and I could continue to work hard, it wasn't what kept me going. So I took the job with Alcoa. What a great idea for me. So I had a charmed life. I was offered a job as an engineer off the graduate program by the time I was 6 months into it, and through some fantastic advice, I didn't take that. They've got this great program where you get to work at all the different refineries, and my engineering manager at the time said, David, don't squander this, you might get an extra, and it was a lot of money. It was like a 40% increase in pay, but he said you'll miss out on all the learning, you'll miss out on all the networks, and all the things that I was good at were learning and networks, and so just making the money wasn't important. So I made a really great decision to stay on the grad program, and I stayed in the grad program for another 8 or 9 months, I think it was, and then I took a promotion to the last refinery. And so I got my full breadth of experience, I got all the networking, I got the pay rise, and I became the fastest promoted senior engineer in the company, which was a really special thing as well. And that really put me into a fantastic position. I think 18 months was the longest I was in a job. I just skidded from this experience to that experience and kept on building my portfolio. I went from engineering into production, back into engineering. I acted as a manager. I took all of these different things, different opportunities to keep on building my breadth, because that's really what was going to keep me. I'm a generalist, so for me, that's what was going to keep me employed. After the first couple of years, I was approached, we think you'll make a manager, we'd like you to do an MBA. So just when you've finished 5 years of the hardest study you've ever done, I had 1 year off, I had 2 babies in the house, and so I did an MBA. So I was driving down to Pinjarra, so I was driving in 2 hours a day, and then I'd drive back here at night, go to UWA until 10 o'clock at night, study all weekend again, and another 4.5 years of doing that. I finished with a director's letter for distinctions in my MBA, which was really fantastic. And I didn't appreciate it at the time. I liked learning, and I didn't think it was going to help my career, but in hindsight, I think it has, because once again, it adds some breadth to what you're doing. So after 8 years with Alcoa, I got an opportunity. I wasn't looking for a job. This is the thing, you know, opportunities will create themselves if you make it, if you open yourself up for it. So I had a friend of mine who I play lead guitar and sing in a band, and he was mates with the drummer, and he knew I was a reliability engineer, and he came and saw me and said, we've got a reliability manager's job in our company, we can't find a reliability manager. You'd be perfect for this job, you know, I'll get my boss to call you. And I said, I don't want to leave, I've got a great career here, I've built up all of this trust, everyone knows who I am, I'm going to be a manager here. But he rang me about 10 times, and I said, look, Bryce, if I go and meet with your boss, will you stop ringing me? So I met with the boss and ended up taking a job at CSBP, which is a West Farmers owned company down in Kwinana. And I've been there 9 years now, and I started off as a reliability manager. I then went in as construction manager, engineering manager. I'm now the production manager for the ammonium nitrate business. So it's a multi-billion-dollar complex. We've got 9 different chemical plants. I've got 165 people working for me. It goes 24 hours a day. It is a phenomenally rewarding job. I really, really love it. It's complex, it's challenging. It takes you away on weekends, it takes you away on holidays. But ultimately, it's a fantastic job for me. So I guess I'll close now, but I guess my job as a manager there is about making the complex simple and the simple compelling. And in terms of leadership and what you're trying to do, you need to distill the top 5 things that are really important, focus the team on that, and you can achieve. And I think if you do the same thing with your study, pick the 5 things that are really important, study hard work, there's no substitute for it, with like-minded friends and good support. Help others, and you'll help yourself without even realising it. Make sure you get balance and exercise. I can't say how important that is. I have a really busy schedule. I get up 3 times a week at 5:30 in the morning. Not that you'd see it from the physique, but I do it because I know it makes me healthier, I know it gives me more energy, and I know it helps make me a better manager. Stay open to your passion and always follow it. Listen to it. If you're going to be really successful, you have to follow what excites you. If it doesn't get you out of bed in the morning and just pays a lot of money, chances are you're not going to be as successful in it as you could be. All right? I think that's really, really important. You have to believe in yourself. You can achieve anything. If I didn't believe in myself, I would have listened to the distance ed guy and said, you know what, I'll pack it up. We'll sell the farm, I'll go and do something else. There's plenty of things I could do. I was good at a whole range of physical things. But I was smart enough at 27 to realise that being 6'3" and strong when you're 27 is fine, and it can earn you a lot of money, but it doesn't. I looked around at what 50-year-olds were doing, the sort of stuff I was doing, and there weren't any. And I went, well, that's not going to get me. I need a job that I can stay intellectually challenged and be successful at until I'm ready to retire. And so that was really important to me. I'll finish with a quote that I got from a friend. I studied with 2 friends. One went on to do a PhD in marine biology and is linked to the University of Canada. And the other one was an ex-SAS soldier, Anthony Brockman. And he's now a director of Schlumberger, which is an oil and gas company. He's based in London. So phenomenally successful people. And Anthony and Robin and I, we all studied really hard. We were really tight. And just before the calculus exam, I said, good luck. And he said to me, David, luck is where preparation meets opportunity. okay? And it goes back to that hard work. The exam's the opportunity. If you've done the work, okay, and if you've studied as hard as you can, you create your own luck, you make your own luck. So I wish you all the success in the upcoming exams. You've done phenomenally well to get through here, and you should be very, very proud of yourselves. Thank you very much.